Hey, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on kind of how to prep for your CPNRE exam. The first thing you should know is you should go to the CPNRE website, which is cpnre.ca, up in the top corner up here. It kind of gives you some information, and you can figure some things out as you play through the website. Basically, you want to find this page right here where it says quick links, exam blueprint, competencies, writing, exam dates, etc. The biggest thing I want to draw you to is exam blueprint. This is, I think, the part where people kind of glaze over. Basically, what you need to know is in the blueprint. You need to know that questions have a stem, they have 3 distractors, and they have the right answer. Now, I talked to you guys a little bit in class about distractors, so remember I said that on the exam I'll put a question, and I said cream of wheat when the answer was oatmeal, or sometimes I'll put random things on there, sometimes I'll make things up as a distractor, and people select it because like, oh, I've never heard of it before, it must be true. No, it's a distractor. So every question is made up of the stem and distractors and the correct answer. And each of those stems, each of those questions are made up of either knowledge, application, or critical thinking cognitive levels. So your knowledge questions are going to be around define this, what is this, how does this relate? Your application is going to be looking at your theories, your models and how things kind of go together. Your critical thinking is going to be prioritizing. What is the best answer? What do you do first? And again, we've talked about those in class as well. In the blueprint, it talks about how the pass mark is set, and there's a big mathematical formula. I'll let you figure that out. And there are competencies. So each of the exam question is going to be related to a competency. And the competencies that are in the CPNRE exam are professional, ethical, and legal practice, foundations of practice, and collaborative practice. And then you can see the breakdown in the corner there, how many percent of the examination is going to be on those competencies. Each of the competency has a number of indicators within it. So if you want to go further in depth into those, you sure can. Also, I'll give you a quick example here. Under the competencies, if I were to pick so this is professional practice. Professional practice number 1 is are responsible and accountable for their own actions and decisions. So practice autonomously with legislated scope of practice. So it means they're going to be talking about working within your scope. There'll be some kind of question on the exam related to that, guaranteed. So if you go through all these competencies, you can kind of maybe think about what kind of questions you've seen in exams or that people could ask you. The other thing that we got, you guys might be interested in, is this book here, is the Canadian PN Exam Prep Guide. Even references ASI in here, which is Assessment Strategies, which is the yardstick to go over ASI. But anyways, so they're used in here, and there's lots of good questions in this textbook to kind of give you examples of how providing client care without bias might be asked in question form. All questions on the exam are going to be multiple choice or a scenario format. Under the scenario, there's going to be 3 to 5 questions per scenario, and typically within each scenario there will be a knowledge and application or 2 and a critical thinking or 2 questions, so you can kind of know what to expect. There is 165, 170 questions on this exam. Not all questions are necessarily weighted to count for your mark, because sometimes they'll throw on exam questions to see how they perform, as they can get statistical data for the next time a question is used on a different exam. There are assumptions about this exam that ASI talks about, so they assume that you're going to be ethical, they assume that you're going to have proper decision making, they assume that you are going to reflect and you're going to practice collaboratively. So again, not a bad idea to see what they're assuming, because those are things they assume that you know and that you're always going to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Again, you can go here and there's prep tools you can purchase. There is the prep guide, which you can read through. It has practice questions. There's also an online predictor test. You can take the 85 question test and it'll kind of tell you how you're going to do. The reason I like the prep guide is that it gives you the question, but also gives you 2 references. So if you are wondering, well, how did they get that answer? Why is that right? You can actually go find those references, but also gives you insight into how they're thinking and how questions are keyed and answered. If you have any further questions, you can contact myself or probably Carol, or you can contact the CPNRE.ca, which is Yardstick, directly. Thanks, guys.